I had a client, excuse me, who perfectly illustrated a repeating energy pattern that she constantly bathes herself in, not on purpose, but because this is the way she actually was raised. And in her upbringing, she was constantly, as a very small child, in the middle of her parents' arguments and dramas, and it was always very, very tense. And as a child, we really want to make things happy. We can't understand why things are chaotic. It's a very repetitive, difficult situation for a child to be in, to constantly be with disharmony or dysfunction and just not understanding it. And it usually becomes very sad and very tense, because there seems to be this sense of always wanting it to somehow be different and wanting to be able to make it different, even as a child, without any clue of how to harmonize things. And so we gradually develop such a self-defeating sense of hopelessness in a situation like that, because there's absolutely nothing that you can do to actually change that situation. You don't really know, and you aren't really a part of being able to change what's going on for your parents. But you feel somehow very involved and responsible, and therefore it feels like it's always failing, it's always hopeless. And this client, even though things were really improving, she'd been releasing for a while and working in therapy for a while, and really feeling better about certain things, would suddenly get a sad feeling and suddenly start thinking about, wow, I don't think things are really changing, I'm feeling the same way, and suddenly starting to feel hopeless again and spinning into that same pattern of self-defeat, and it'll never work and it's never going to change. And I think a lot of people are like that in their growth and expansion. You know, they recognize they have certain patterns in their energy, and they feel great when they can release from them and feel grounded and centered again. And then suddenly the whole thing seems to be back again, maybe even with a vengeance. And it's the same kind of situation as with this client. In her case, this hopeless, self-defeating kind of feeling. So if you're aware of a certain pattern in your energy that sort of bathes you, that you tend to go back to just when you think you've maybe changed it or released it, and then there it is again, could you welcome that in this moment? Could you just welcome that that's an energy pattern that's always going to possibly be there, that will always be something that you could feel, that it could come up anytime? Could you welcome that it's just part of that ego pattern, it's part of the early energy pattern that you're more familiar with? Could you welcome the familiarity with it just for a moment? And you might be going, oh boy, is it ever familiar? Well, just feel that. Just welcome how you really don't like it, how you really would rather it wasn't that it was something else. But could you just notice we're just not going to change the past? We're not going to change what we were bathed in the energy of our upbringing. That's just what it was. That was the experience. Could you let go of thinking that it needs to change? Could you have a new attitude towards it when it appears? Could you welcome it as just an old friend, one of your earliest and most repetitive experiences that you've had? And it'll just breeze right past you. It's not really serious. If you let go of fighting it, resenting it, wanting to change it, thinking you can eventually get rid of it, if you could let that struggle go and just harmonize and accept and embrace when it shows up, and just say, oh, there it is again. That's not a surprise. And before you know it, it'll be gone. And as always, you'll be here, right now, resting in really what is.